Good evening, everybody. We'll get going in a couple of minutes. Thank you for your patience. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. Tonight's Forex trading live market analysis. So before we get into it, please read through the risk disclaimer. If you have any questions, type them into the question box. Got the chat box open too. So I'll just let you read through that. So I might be identifying trade setups that I might be looking at, but of course, this is my analysis. You need to do your own analysis, make your own trading decisions. So whatever you do is down to yourself. You're responsible for your own actions. All right, so if you don't know me, then, sorry, I was having a little bit of problem with my, here we go, my PowerPoint. All right, so if you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist at Trading Mentor here at ACY Securities. And I'm a full-time trader. I've been trading the market now 15 years. Had the opportunity of mentoring clients smaller than 10. If you want to contact me, then my email is on screen there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. If you want to follow me, then simply go to our website, acy.com, go to the market news tab, get my analysis there, our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia, or you can follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn and pretty much access the same thing, almost. All my videos, though, they're on YouTube. As well, you can get access to our live interactive trading feed in Telegram. I said all my videos are on YouTube, but some of my analysis videos aren't. They're in the Telegram. So if you want to get full access to my analysis through the week, just contact Nathan Bray at acy.com. I'll put his information in the chat in a moment. If you want to get access to my chart layouts, which looks kind of like this picture here, and you'll see them in a moment when we get into the analysis, just contact Nathan. He'll organize that for you. So what I'll do is put his details in the chats. All right, there it is. It's in the chat there. So just give him a call, send him an email. He'll get back to you. All right, before we get into the charts, let's just have a quick look at my news up here. So this evening, we'll just go through the next 2 days, today and tomorrow. 9 p.m. today, we've got the Bank of England interest rate decision expected in 50 base points. Then we've got the governor talking at 9:30. So between 9 and 10, it'll be fairly volatile for the pound crosses. Tomorrow, we've got the Aussie RBA monetary policy statement coming out at 11:30 a.m. And then we've got the Canadian and US job figures coming out in the evening of Friday, 10:30 p.m. Okay, so those are the big events coming out. The Aussie one won't be too big an event, I'm sure, but pound interest rate decision and the job figures there, that will certainly stimulate the market, and the US job figures always stimulates the market. So that's what's coming up. So the big one for today is the pound. Nothing much from the US, too much into their normal news slot today. So I would avoid the pound until after the pound comes out. Just want to click through my charts, see if you've been watching the charts, price has already moved for the day. We're getting up to the higher reaches of price action for the day. So those pairs moving up. Potentially on the euro yen, there might be an opportunity to trade down up here. We can talk about that in a moment or two. But I'm not sure that's the best level in the world. You have to watch it and monitor it to see if you can get a tight entry. But trend may be moving back up on that pair. All the yen pairs are moving up very, very strongly from the movement down on Monday. All right. So what I'm going to do is start with the dollar index, and I'll highlight this area on Tuesday. But just to tell you the structure overall, we're in a monthly uptrend moving into resistance up there at the moment. Had a bit of a rejection at the back in time resistance levels at 108.09 and 109.24. So we're still holding within the candle of last month. We haven't broken the low, so maybe we did reject up there, but finished positive for the month. Maybe we're just moving back up there. The weekly, we've had a 3-week pullback. Trend is still up though. We may have got some support from down here on these tops. And as I mentioned earlier in the week, I'll get my little box to go back. No, I can't. I'll just draw it back in. I was anticipating that these tops here would potentially offer support. And lo and behold, it did. Now, of course, price can move back down into this area. We're still theoretically on the day chart showing low tops and bottoms, but this is where we'd expect support to come in which it has. So we got the job figures coming out on Friday. So we could move back into the area, but maybe we've put in the bottom of a 3-week decline to move back up. All right, so we might start to see pairs to the US dollar getting weaker. Stock market is still moving up. This is a monthly range that I've got the fib drawn in. So we may well move up to the 62 level up here. At the moment, we're contesting with 2 levels of resistance from the weekly chart. And we're kind of at the 50% point here. But notably, the weekly chart is showing you higher tops and bottoms. So, you know, maybe we've put a major bottom in on the stock market. Maybe we haven't. If we start to move beyond the 62% level where I've got the fib drawn in, maybe we're going much higher. So at the moment, we're seeing we've been seeing some dollar weakness, some stock market strength, which if you're trading pairs to the US dollar will predominantly give an upward move as well. Even though we sold off at the start of the week on the yen pairs, we are moving back up on the yen pairs. They've got moved down to the bottom of the range. So there's a bit of a risk on environment over the last couple of days. And that's kind of aligned with the stock market moving up. All right. So let's get into the charts now. The only pair that maybe is at a good level to start to consider what is happening is the euro yen. A message coming in. Cameron, what is risk on? That's where everybody's happy to buy in the stock market and expecting, you know, stocks to move up. And generally when that's the case, you'll find that pairs to the yen will move up. When we get risk off, stock market starts to fall down and the yen pairs tend to follow that direction too. All right, so at the moment, we've got stock market generally moving up, yen pairs are generally moving up, so that would be called a risk on environment. People are prepared to purchase stocks, whereas in a risk off environment, they're getting rid of stocks. All right, so in a risk on environment, people are purchasing stocks, capital is moving out of the US dollar. In a risk off environment, stocks are going down, money's moving into the US dollar, pairs to the yen are moving down. All right, now the euro yen, And I'm not entirely sure whether we are topping out here. I'm actually bullish on this pair, but we are at a good level to watch. So let's just go to the daily chart. Now, if you're in my structure webinar last night, I discussed the major structure level down here being monthly support. Here's your monthly chart. Lots of support down here. There's monthly support, there's weekly support, there's day support that we traded in. Structurally, the monthly trend is up, and we're only into the early part of the month, and we're already positive once more after, dropping down on Monday. So we may well be moving all the way up to the top of the range, but at the moment, as we get into the weekly trend, it is down, and the day trend is down, and we're coming up to a level that we broke below last week, last Friday, I think it was. Where are we? Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Friday. Broke below Friday. So there's always the potential that we could hold here and then move back down. So we'll have to wait and see what price does today. If you're on the side of the sellers, then this is a clear area to watch to structure a sell down if you can see your setup. Okay. I'm actually long the pair, so I'm hoping this is going to move through. But that being said, I just think this was very good support down here, and I've gotten long, and I'm risk-free, so it doesn't really matter to me if this fails up here, but I'm anticipating we may well move through this area. It's just my own viewpoint, but it's old support. It could hold a support to move down. So if you're not in a trade, then just pausing. And Cameron's telling me he's in dollar yen risk free. Got in the one today that I posted in Telegram, maybe. So on the 4 hour, we're in an uptrend. We've started to move into higher tops and a higher bottom there. All right. So with all the other yen pairs being very strong, dollar yen's very strong. As I say, I posted a trading opportunity maybe that could come together today on the dollar yen, and let's see, somebody took it. Dollar yen's very strong, Aussie yen's very strong, New Zealand yen's very strong, pound yen's moving up as well. So we could hold here, but if we start to move above, then watch for this level to be support. So if we do move through today and get above a good 50, 75 pips above, any pullback will look to this level to be support. This has had a very strong move up from support down here. There's every possibility we might move through here, but it is resistance. Broken support becomes resistance. We could fail there. So you may see on the 15-minute chart, trend line break, swing point break to the downside. At the moment, MACD's a long way from crossing down. So my setup called the trend line break MACD cross. This is a mile away from setting up at the moment. So you need a trend line break plus the MACD to cross down. That's not anywhere near crossing at the moment. So there's a figure there at 137 as well. Now, all that we might get is, a move into here, a bit of a sell-off before getting some more support to move through. So you'll have to monitor that area. It is an area where the market could hold and fail. But if we move through the area, look for it to then turn to support as it might continue up. The reason why I think it's moving through in general terms is the last 2 trading days, after finding support down here, yesterday all we did was held at the central pivot point. Today, pretty much we just held at the central pivot point and then moved up. So when the market's strong, it's just holding at the central pivot point for the lower of the day to move up. So you can see there's a little bit of pressure there on the candle. You can monitor it if you want to trade down from there. It's your decision. You just have to structure your trade wisely. All right, let's get to the other yen pairs. Start on the Aussie yen. To the day chart. And I'm just going to get rid of a few lines at the moment. This area where we bottomed short term is monthly support from the monthly chart. Okay, these old tops down to there. Trend wise, this is up structurally. Pull back to monthly supports. Weekly trend is more, well, we broke that low there, but it's more range bound than anything because it's false broke the low. So that low is that line just there. So we could be in a broad range here for the moment. And the most obvious thing would be if we're getting support here and a clear strong rejection, we're moving back to the top of the range. So we're kind of in the middle, which isn't ideal if you're a trader. You're going to try and trade up from the bottom, taking profit at the top. Getting in the middle is where the market can fail. So we are coming up to a daily level of broken support. The market could hold there to move down. So that would be a level that we'll be watching. Does it hold there? It's a very similar level to what we're seeing on the euro yen. So if both of these levels hold and they start to turn over together, well, okay, maybe we're moving back to the sell side. But I have a feeling we're going up to challenge those tops. Yen pairs are very strong. This is range bound on the daily, weekly view, but the monthly is up. I think we've had the monthly dip down to put a bottom in to move up here and over time move through. 4 hour uptrend. All right, very strong on that 4 hour chart. We could well, you know, there's a minor low in here, so you could be drawing a fib in here to look for a continuation pattern. Does it pull back within the 62.79 area of that current fib? I mean, if it keeps moving up, keep dragging the fib up, but I'd be looking from the low of today now, drawing a fib up until we start to pull back. Do we pull back to a 62.79 level, hold, or maybe the continuation up? All right. Aussie dollar. Now, structurally on the weekly chart, I've got lots of lines in here, but we're lower bottom, lower top, lower bottom. All right. And we're heading into, well, this week we've failed. Friday we failed, and Monday we failed at this resistance level at 70.30. And then we sold off and we've broken below the low. So actually the day chart trend in terms of price is now down. So what I'm thinking is this is coming up for maybe a rally to put in the lower top. All right. So if I drop it to the 4 hour chart, and just to add weight to why I think we may have failed. The weekly range is here, high, low. I was looking for a bit of a move up to the 62 level of that range before we failed. So we just failed fractionally short of the 62. We failed 28 pips short. Sorry, 18 pips short. Let me have a third attempt. 7053, and that top was, so we're only 6 pips short, okay? So 6 pips short of the 62% retracement of the weekly move down, corrective rally. So what I'm looking at the moment, as we've broken the day chart low, this may now just, as you move down, changing the day chart trends, this may now be moving up to come up to put in a lower top. That lower top, you know, it might be searching for the 62 to 79% of the rally. 79% is always the favored approach for me. And if I look left there are some 4 hour tops to the left as well. And we could have another sniff at 70.30. So I'm not really on the buy side of that pair. I'm looking for a high level to sell it. Should it get up there? All right. At the moment, it's contending. It's trying to move through monthly resistance at 69.67, 69.91. So I'm searching for a top up here somewhere. All right. So that might come together. Could come together tomorrow when we get the job figures coming out. So yes, that is a bit overextended to the upside at the moment, but you know, it could still move up and through. So I'm just searching for a lower top kind of situation. Is it going to show it? So maybe after the job figures, we will see. I mean, the Aussie yen's moving up very strongly, so this is moving up with it. So we will see where that ends. It may have already done its final top. We'll see. Covered the euro yen. It's just headbutting that resistance at the moment. Euro dollar. Posted this in a Telegram today. We're in this 4-hour range. Now, it would be great if we came back down. Last week in our Telegram, I posted up here. I actually highlighted, I think it was this area. Look in that area for fair. We did go through a fraction, but ultimately failed there to move down. We're range bound. Can we come down to the bottom of that range and find support? Now, the thing that I did see doing some further analysis, I've got my fib, these are my other charts with my last month's high and low levels on. That's last month's high, last month's low. Is where the top of that range is where the 62% retracement of that range. So are we topping out there? Time will tell. All right. At the moment, if it comes back down to the base of support, if it holds there, expect it to move back up. So I'm looking at the 101.18 monthly support level down to the day support level at 10096. Does price simply move into there? Once more hold to move back up. All right. Sooner or later, the consolidation range will fail, but it could be in consolidation for the rest of the month if it wants to. So if you start to see support down there, could well move back up to the top of the range. It may have already bottomed because it did have a spike down there yesterday, but if you want to be a buyer on that pair, getting in at the bottom of the range is the best area to get in. All right, pound yen. All right, hopefully you can see we've got a range here. 2 weekly lows down here where we false broke and daily resistance up here. You could even say if we got rid of that, we've got monthly resistance up here and weekly resistance up there. So there's a very wide weekly range. We might be in a slightly more narrow range between daily resistance, but this looks to me like it's coming up to here. So it may well stay range bound. I don't like to buy it in the middle of the range, but logically, if it gets up to here and holds, so that's at 166.24, then I will look at that level for a possible failure. The 4-hour is in an uptrend, so if you're prepared to trade it within the scope of the middle of the range, look for a fib pullback within the 4-hour range that you can draw your fib across. If it keeps moving up, drag your fib up, look for a 62.79% pullback, and then what you see after that. All right. So all these yen pairs are showing you the same kind of pattern. Very strong rejection at the bottom, and then a very strong 4-hour structure moving up at the moment. So try to trade a pullback on the 4-hour charts, moving up to resistance. Then what do we do up here? If we start to hold once more, we could well be consolidatory in the European area of the world, like in England, UK. School holidays, people on holidays, traders on holidays. That's the market in August can get a little bit range bound. A number of these pairs are in broad ranges at the moment. Showed you the euro dollar in a broad range. We may well be in a range for the month. So trade it like that then. You can't trade it like a trend. You can't trade this when we're up here. If we get up there, you can't trade that it's going to break through for sure, because it's been proving to be in a range. So if it starts to stop here, you have to take profit and maybe reverse. Pound dollar, and with a caveat on the pound yen, of course, we've got the interest rate decision coming out tonight. So on the pound dollar, might just take some of these lines off so it's not too busy. All right, let me get my fib off. These lines are all weekly lines. If you go to your weekly chart, weekly what was support became resistance. We've been above it. It's just acting as support at the moment. Weekly resistance here at 22.51. And this is daily resistance up here at 123.32. Now, this isn't a downtrend on the weekly. This is a 3-week corrective move, like we're having a 3-week pullback on the dollar index. I'm just measuring that range today chart. And we haven't quite got to 62, where at the 62, it lines up very nicely with daily chart resistance, where we consolidated here last month. Are we coming up to the top of that consolidation? That would be a great level to look for failure. Of course, we've already had a bit of a reversal slightly ahead of there. Maybe we've already reversed. We'll just have to monitor, see what price does after the interest rate decision. If this spikes up into like one, it go to the 4-hour chart. So you can see that consolidation that I'm talking about. It's here from last month. If we got up to the tops of those 4-hour tops there, that would be a great area to look for a reversal. Can we get there today? We'll have to wait to see what the news does. Can we get there tomorrow with the US news? We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm watching up here. Can we fail up there? All right. So that's one level I'm watching. 123.20, 123.32, the 62 fib and the daily resistance. Now this 22.51 level, the weekly resistance level, if you go to my other charts and you're on board with my monthly highs and lows, weekly highs and lows, then at this 22.51 level where we failed this week, moved above last week's high and then failed to move down. It's also last month's high. Last month's high, last week's high, prices held, failed. We could just come to there today and fail. All right. Did that in a webinar. When was it? Last week. I think it was last week, monthly, weekly highs. So we're failing at last month's high, last week's high. So we have had a month up. Maybe we've just managed to have a month up and we're going to trade down for the whole month. All right. If we start to keep failing up here, that's what I'm thinking. Are we putting in the high of the month here to trade down for the rest of the month? Last month, not to shout out what I did last month, but I sold up here. Sold up there. Went through structure last night. Sold up there at resistance when we were consolidating. And I took my trade off down here for 500 pips. Now, I don't know whether we can do the same thing again. Well, I can do the same thing again this month, but I'm watching that area over there. I'm watching this area here. If I can get in on a failure at either one of those levels, in my mind, there's every reason that we could trade back down to test last month's low. All right. So we're getting, that is a good area to look for failure. If you're wanting a positional trade, maybe it will offer a very nice one from that area. New Zealand yen. We go to my other charts for that. New Zealand yen. What's that euro yen doing? All right, something a bit off from that area. All right, 63.90 and 82.49. They are monthly tops here and monthly top there. So we've come down into monthly tops and bounced back up. What I could do if I took those levels off, just so you know where they were coming from, we are, relatively speaking, same as the other yen pairs, in a kind of a broad range environment. Staying at the bottom. So logically, as I talked about structure last night, logically, if I'm in a trading consolidation range, I'm thinking it's moving to the top. All right. So that's what I'm thinking. 4-hour chart, clear uptrend. I could be looking for, you know, a fib pullback. Don't know whether I'll give the fib pullback from that low up to there. It's very strong at the moment. But some form of pullback would be ideal. But there's a minor low just there, I think. So if that is the top of that current run, look for the 62 level, 79 level. On these pairs at the moment, the yen pairs are not pulling back too much, only getting back to the central pivot points and their pullbacks at the moment. So whilst it might offer you a fib pullback, it may well only pull back to the central pivot point. That's what it's been doing over the last couple of days on these pairs. Back today, this is a sign of a strong pair. Yesterday, we got support at the central pivot point, and then we're up all day. Today, we haven't even got to the central pivot point. The market, there's that space where we didn't get to the central pivot point. That's just telling you it's strong. When you're seeing that, when you're looking at your 50-minute chart and you've got the pivot points there, if you're seeing that, I'm not going to entertain shorting any small reversals, because that's telling me that I've got a strong underlying trend. All right, nothing will go up. There was a bit of a reversal here, like on that euro yen today. We did get to the central pivot point just, but that's the maximum reversal that we've had. So we can get a similar reversal there. That reversal there, as long as the reversals aren't really changing too much, then the trend's still in play. So we might be coming back to yesterday's high if we want to pull back with any corrective nature. So that you could probably trade down there and capture some pips, but trying to look at, is the trend remaining? A pullback of the same length that we've had yesterday is just the pair staying within trend. All right, back to, what was that, the New Zealand yen. All right. Tomorrow, on all these strong pairs, I'll just be looking at a pullback to central pivot point, like I posted yesterday for the Aussie yen. Can it pull back to the central pivot point? It didn't manage it yesterday. Today, I said on the dollar yen, can it pull back to the central pivot point? It did, and offered a good trade opportunity. New Zealand dollar, daily chart, or the weekly chart. There's similar to the Aussie dollar. I'm just monitoring a pullback to the 62. What does it do? I'm not trading that pair at the moment, but the longer term trends are down. I'm just looking for something to tell me that we've maybe had a 62% retracement on the weekly and we start to fail. And then to trade back down with a longer term trend. All right. Dollar Canadian. I've had this drawn in for a good couple of weeks to show you the structure of events, of how the price has been moving. The question, we've got the job figures for both Canada and US tomorrow, so I wouldn't be trading this pair till post that. And I've said the most logical level, this movement down here is really just this leg copied down here. Look to this level, the 79% retracement level. Does price start to hold there? All right. If it does, there may well be another leg up. So we have got support at the 62, but as I've been saying, this resistance that I've got drawn in at 129.01 weekly resistance, it doesn't want to get above there. So there's not much room to trade right now to that level if you wanted to test it. Trading down here to then see if you can break through, there's plenty of room for you to manage your trade. So I'll just be watching this level. Can we get there? Can we pull back to that level? And then the dollar yen. We are having a month down this month. All right. We are back below that top for the moment, 135.16. All right. highly volatile this pair at the moment in terms of its trading ranges. On the weekly trend, we've pulled back to weekly support. We've pulled back to weekly 62% level in here. 131.34 is weekly support, 131.33, 62% retracement. Looks to me like we may have put in the weekly pullback for a move up to challenge 135.16 now, which is that monthly top that we've popped back below. And can we move up to 139.38? All right, daily structure is down because we've had that weekly pullback. All right. So Cameron, of course, that trade today is against the day trend, but it's in line with the bigger trend. It's in line with the structure that I'm seeing on the bigger trends. All right. So these are the scenarios where I'm going counter trend to the day trend because I'm thinking that the day trend is going to turn back to up over time. So the 4 hour, it's clearly up. It is coming into a bit of an area of resistance here. I mean, it could stop there. We've moved up to a top. There is another higher bottom here. Top, higher bottom. So having a bit of a pause there at the moment. Bit of a consideration. But that's not a form candle. It's just, that started at 7 o'clock. So it's only 35 minutes old. So come 11 o'clock when a candle finishes, it could be obviously further up. Now, if you're not in our Telegram, the trade that I posted today was simply looking at 133.63, the central pivot point. Well, I'll go to the Telegram and show you. Oh, 133.58. I was saying the central pivot point was at. There we go, 133.58. So I highlighted that area at the start of the day, and of course we can see that I got support, so we can't go back in time to trade it. And of course, then we've moved up. And whether you traded at the level, whether you traded a trend line break, however you determined to get in, then there was a trigger to get in there in any event. And of course, we've been moving up. Cameron, you're asking me, if we get 3 times the stop loss, well, should we put the stop loss into some profit? Well, so it depends what you want to do. Are you wanting to trade this all the way up to the highs of where we came from? Up here? If you were wanting to trade all the way up there, I'd just have the trade at break even and see whether I won't get stopped out. Depends as a trader. It depends to you as a trader how important the profit is. Of course, you've got profit on board at the moment, so you could, let's say you risk 20 pips, you could lock in 20 and go, okay, I'm locked in 20. I'm just going to leave it alone now. I'm either going to make 20 pips or it's going to run. It depends how important the profit is to you. You know, if you're risking 20 and you're up 60, or you're up, 3 times your risk, and if that's a lot of money on your account, then you could take profit, So it all depends for you on this particular trade, how important profit is in terms of your other trades that you've had going. If you've had a series of losses, you might have to think, well, I had a series of losses, I want to take my profit, cover those so I can move on. Or, it all depends your philosophy on how important that money is right now that's floating in your account. All right. So only you can make that decision. So if you're wanting a big run, then, it could pull back. So it could pull back like within 10 pips of your entry. And if you've locked in 20, you're going to be out, aren't you? And then it turns around and you're not in. So what I tend to do, if I want to just hold a position for a run, I just get my trade to break even at the appropriate point, and then I'm going to make some money or I'm not. I I make my decision of how I'm going to trade that particular position, and then I don't worry too much if it's break even after being up, because my goal is not to make 20 pips, it's to make 200, 300, 400 pips on the run. All right, so I have to be prepared that at times I will get stopped out for no money. That's just the nature of the beast, okay? All right, so again, if we just have a look at strong trends, which we're seeing on the yen crosses yesterday after the strong reversal, Tuesday's strong reversal. So, this is worth making a note. If you have a major reversal, strong reversal from a good level of support, for example, here, when you're into the new trading day, there's the day of the strong reversal. The new trading day often will just pull back to the central pivot point. There it is. From there, yesterday, it went up 200 pips, right? Of course, we're not going up as aggressively today, but again, we got support at the central pivot point, traded down about 16 pips, we're up 84. So, if you trade the trend line break, it never retested the swing point here, so you would hopefully see profit on the trade. So when pairs are strong, going to the upside, look at the central pivot point to be support, where the low could be coming in for the day. If you don't have my charts, just contact Nathan and get my chart set up. This happens all. I'm going to show you, I've covered all the pairs I want to cover tonight, so I'm going to show you the same philosophy. You can see it here on the dollar yen. Yesterday, I did post looking at the central pivot point for the Aussie yen, but we didn't get down there. If it doesn't get down there and then moves up, that's just showing you strength, because the buyers are coming in ahead of the central pivot point. Today, we can't get to the central pivot point. This is just strength, strength, strength. All right. But in a strong market, look for a dip to the central pivot point. Euro yen yesterday, central pivot point. After a strong move up the day before, central pivot point. Today, central pivot point. It's coming up for a retest of resistance now. All right. Pound yen. Haven't been following this too much, but same thing. We had a strong move up with all the yen pairs. Central pivot point, pullback. Central pivot point today. It's like clockwork, isn't it? New Zealand yen, central pivot point yesterday, no pullback today. So that is exceptionally strong at the moment. No pullback to central pivot point, exceptionally strong. Dollar yen, as I just covered it before, only got to the central pivot point yesterday. Only just, well, I did dip below a fraction here, but not much time goes below the central pivot point in a strong trend, okay? It's like one of the easiest strategies in the world. Of course, you're not going to be right all the time, but once you're faced with a very strong trend, be it up or down, in this case up, support will come in quite strong at the central pivot point, and that is often where the low of the day is. All right. All right, any questions? Anything else? Any pair or thing that you want me to have a look at before we finish tonight? Of course, we've got the job figures coming out tomorrow, so be aware of that. We can have a look at gold. All right, let's have a look at gold. So I don't trade gold personally. Excuse me one moment. And if I had to say why I don't trade gold is, for me, like if I'm trading the currencies, like the yen pairs, I've got like Aussie yen, euro dollar, pound yen, New Zealand yen, dollar yen. I've got 5 pairs there that are highly correlated, so it's easy for me to see what's moving together. Somebody might be able to explain to me if you trade gold all the time, but to me, I don't have a correlated thing that I can trade with gold to see that things move together. So that's why I don't trade gold. To me, when I think it might or should be moving up, it's not. And when I think it should be moving down, it's not. So I don't have that correlated warm fuzzy feeling of looking at other things to see, okay, everything's moving one way or the other. Being that said, we are obviously a monthly support here in this large monthly range where we double topped up here, and we're kind of triple bottoming down here maybe, or we're just in a range of sorts. Their chart has now turned to an uptrend, so this is trading up. Weekly trend though is all lower tops and bottoms into support. So if this reversal is going to continue, it's going to need to move above that level, 1786.74. We can't move above that level. We could well be moving back down to test where we've come from. So as I said, day trends it up. This is quite extended in the short term. We have had 1 day down. So we hit 1 day down. If we come up there today and hold and start to reverse, we could well be stopping there for a move down. 4 hour trend structure is up now. We had a day down where it was negative, but now we've broken above there. That's the line in the sand, 1786. Does that break? And then into next week, does it become support for a move up? If we get above there, then potentially then it's got the chance of starting to move all the way up, maybe to up here in months. You know, it's not going to get there this month, 3 or 4 months. Taking about 3 or 4 months to move down. Could take 3 or 4 months to move up. All right, so there's a line in the sand, 1786 for that pair. Do we hold to turn around? Do we hold, or do we move through, and does it become support? All right, just have to watch and see. Now you can trade the pivots. Everything I teach in the counters will work, I'm sure, intraday. But we've already had quite a move up. See how we only put the low in at the central pivot point today? So it's a bit overextended for the day already. We have had a move into an uptrend here on the 4-hour chart. You might want to pull back within the confines of the fib tool to a 62 level, a 79 level before putting another high bottom in to move up. All right, you could monitor that. But the main line in the stand is don't be a buyer too close to 1786 because that's clear resistance. All right. All right, everybody. Any final questions? I'm just going to click through, see what's going on in these yen pairs. What's that euro yen doing? It is holding there a little bit. All right, hopefully it's not going to hold there too long. As I say, I got long. I'm risk-free. I'm just looking for, back to the day chart, for this to move above that level. If we move above this level, then there's every opportunity we could be moving all the way back up. All right, well, now, just pausing, Slavy asking me about gold. Is there another way to look at gold? In a downward channel with 3-week relief rally? Well, yeah. I mean, the thing with gold is, the weekly trend is down. So we're having a 3-week rally at the moment from the bottom. The day chart's up because the day chart's moving up to give you that 3-week rally. So the question will be now, does that 3-week rally finish at 1786 for a turn down? Because structurally on the weekly we're down. So we've moved down, we're rallying, and yes, we could put in a lower top there to go boom, like so. So as I was saying, line in the sand for anybody that's buying at the moment within that day chart uptrend, or think that we've bottomed down, put support in, and we're continuing up. For that continuation to continue, we have to move above 1786. If we fail at 1786 once more, or we put in a fraction of a lower top on the 4-hour chart there, for example, then yes, there's every opportunity to trade down. All right. So there are, the thing to consider is when we're just dealing with structure, and my commentary may have lent a little bit more to the idea that we might break above that level, is what's the strongest level of support or resistance? Is this a stronger level of support, or is that a stronger level of resistance? What do we think? All right, Slav, you're saying the top. Cameron, you're saying support. Slav, you're saying the top one. All right, this is monthly support. That's monthly support. That's weekly support. It doesn't matter if we can call that weekly support. It's a weekly low as well. But let's just call it weekly support, even though it's monthly support. That is an older level than that one. All right, and because it's older, it's formed into a monthly level. All right. So with the fact that that's older and got more age to it, it's stronger than that one, because this one is only 10 weeks old. This one is, sorry, that one's 40 weeks old. This one's 9 weeks old. 11 weeks old. All right. So this one's four times as old as that one. So that one's stronger. So if I'm looking at two levels, thinking which one's going to hold and govern the direction, I will take the older one. However, it doesn't mean to say that the weekly one can't hold. But if I'm looking at age and using age to determine strength, then I would say the monthly level is stronger. There's two monthly levels here. This level here. This one is, well, there's three here. This one there is 73 weeks old. All right, so that's one and a half years old. So this is way stronger than that, because that's only been there for like 10 weeks. All right, so that's why I would say, okay, this is probably going to break through. It doesn't have to, though. But that's why my bias is more to the upside, because we're coming up from what I would consider a stronger level, but the weekly level could still hold. Slav is saying you would have thought that the amount of structure is larger at the top. Well, we've got structure here as well, yeah. I mean, this could hold, all right? It can hold. We just have to watch. I just think that the fact that we're moving off much stronger support, we potentially could move up and through. All right, it's just my philosophy and experience of how I'm looking at things. Same with the euro yen, for example. I don't know what it's doing at the moment. It is having a little bit of an intraday sell. We've just hit down here 2 monthly levels of support. We're heading up to weekly resistance. All right, but in terms of age, this is the older level. All right, this is a newer level. And yes, there's resistance here. There's old support here that could be resistance too. So, resistance of this nature can hold. But you have to ask yourself at times, if you're going to trade a level down, ask yourself, where are we moving from? All right. And when we're moving from, wherever we're moving from, is that cluster stronger than the level we're moving to? All right. Barry, you're saying also monthly touched 15 times and only broke once. Are you talking about the gold? Yeah, gold. So there's lots of ways of looking at it. Like you're saying, it's touched. You're telling me it's touched there 15 times on, I'm guessing, lower time frames. However, it's only broken once. You know, this one here probably broke there, maybe. So I just look at monthly support is stronger than weekly support, and this is monthly support. All right. So if I was thinking we're in this major range, I just think that if I see a major, you know, we're talking about structure. The biggest structure I can see at the moment is the monthly range. So the monthly range is a stronger governance to just weekly resistance. But it doesn't mean to say that weekly resistance won't hold. All right. But that's how I would determine strength to a level and structure. That monthly range is stronger than potentially, you know, we could have a weekly range here. All right. But the monthly range still, to me, is stronger. And then you might find over time that that weekly range, if this is what we do, breaks north. See how we came down to here for support, came down here for support, and then we kind of went sideways before moving up. Is, you know, this support here started to govern where we were going long term. All right, so time will tell. I've got no emotional bias to this pair to this instrument because I'm not in it. All right, so I don't have any emotional play in it. Whereas on the euro yen, for example, I do have some emotional play in this because I'm long. Even though I can't lose any money, I can lose profit. Right, so you know, emotionally, I might be wanting that to break. So I could say that's a weaker level than this level down here. But even so, this is a monthly level of a longer nature than that level there. So that I take the same tact. But on gold, I've got no emotion on gold because I don't trade it. So it doesn't matter to me, because I know when I'm doing my own analysis just for myself and looking at something, often your bias goes to the direction you want it to go in, because you might have a position in it. So you start to look at structure from a bias perspective because you have a bias. All right. So if you can look at an instrument, if you're not trading an instrument, if you can look at an instrument with a non-biased approach, monthly is always stronger than weekly. Doesn't mean to say that the weekly couldn't hold. All right. But if you have some attachment because you might be in it already, then often an emotional attachment can then start to play on our analysis. So I don't know whether you're in it or not, Slav, but I know this pair and silver are looking very similar. I know you were trading this. I don't know whether you're still in it. So this is coming up to a similar level. All right, so you're not in gold. I don't know whether you're still in your silver, but structurally, this is quite structurally the same in terms of we're coming up to a weekly level. But we are holding on a monthly level of support. All right. So monthly level of support may well trump weekly resistance over time. You'll have to wait and see what happens. So both of those metals are showing some kind of similarity. Both have traded down to monthly support and moving back up to weekly resistance. Silver has been a little bit more, it's leading in that it has hit weekly resistance and then failed, I think, a bit sooner than gold. So gold might be lagging a bit, but both similar in that they've come down to monthly support and then moving back up to weekly resistance. All right, so it'd be interesting to see what does happen. But again, I've got no emotional play in either one of those because I'm not in it. So I can give a very unbiased. I mean, what I would say on silver is if that resistance doesn't hold on the next test, it's because it maybe wants to go into a deeper fib retracement for one thing. Same on gold. Let's go back to gold. This hasn't had a 62% retracement either. All right, so there are some other level, we can move above resistance to a fib level to move back below as well. So time will tell. Personally, I think we might be moving above that level. This movement up here is well, it's not quite aligned with the yen pair movements, but look, that just looks quite strong from support. All right, everybody, so you can make your own decisions on that. All we know is it's going to probably come out and retest that level. And then what does it do? Then you have to make your judgments about what price does on the lower time frame. All right, everybody, thanks for the questions and the conversation there. All right, coming up next week, more analysis next, let me get the page up, next Tuesday, 7 p.m, which is this day here, the 9th. Next week on the 10th, I'm going to take you through how I trade the head and shoulders pattern. I don't necessarily trade it the same as your old standard textbook. All right, so I'm going to show you how I trade it in the Forex market, not how I don't trade the break of a neckline that old-fashioned way. All right, so if you want to see how I trade head and shoulders and create risk to reward of 1 to 3, 1 to 4 or greater, then come along next Wednesday and I'll show how I do it. So next week, Tuesday's analysis, Wednesday's education, trading the head and shoulders, and then Thursday is live market review. All right. So just head over to the webinar page to register interest. If you're on YouTube, I can't see the chat, but thanks very much for jumping on YouTube if you've been watching. If you want to be able to talk to us, just simply register for the webinars. And all right, thank you. Thanks for coming in there. All right, everybody, have a great weekend. Stay safe. Look forward to seeing you next time.